We're in this world where, like, these tools have become like democratized, and now taste is the differentiator, right? Did we like the Featherstone campaign or not?
Hit it. That's what we're talking about.
Wait. Okay, now. From the beginning.
Hit it, boys.
Welcome to Higher Ed Pulse, your no-fluff guide to artificial intelligence in higher ed. I'm Mallory Willsea, bringing nearly 20 years of edtech and marketing expertise straight to your earbuds. Higher ed leaders are expected to master AI overnight. But let's be real. No one has time to sift through every headline, hot take, or research report. That's why every Monday I'll break down what actually matters. Fast, clear, and to the point. Want to sound like the smartest person in the room at your next team meeting? You're in the right place. Let's dive in. Welcome back to Higher Ed Pulse. On today's episode, we're pulling back the curtain on how creative agencies are turning machine intelligence into a creative advantage. Joining me are Tracey Halvorsen, CEO and President of Digital at Adeo, and Yianni Mathioudakis, co-founder of Deeo Studio. They're here to talk vibe prototypes, smarter frameworks, and keeping the work unmistakably human. Tracey, Yianni, welcome to the Pulse.
Glad to be here, Mallory. Thanks for having us. I can't wait to get into all of this stuff.
And I am thrilled that you are here, Yianni. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you. Excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
So before we get into the topic of the day, the thing that everyone in higher ed has been talking about is this Featherstone campaign. Now, folks, we're recording about a week after this campaign dropped. I know that this episode's coming out a little later in November, but I need to get the hot takes, Tracey and Yianni, about this campaign. Tracey, I know you've been paying attention to it. You've seen the video, the website. Like, off the bat, what are you thinking?
First of all, bravo, because everyone's talking about it, and I always say, if you're trying to make everybody happy, then nobody's going to pay any attention, right? So you kind of want whatever you're putting out there it's going to be liked, hopefully, by the people that are meant to like it, which is probably their prospective student and parent audience, which from the research and the little bit that I've heard about, this video and this website is going to resonate with them. For the rest of us who are got our panties all in a bunch about it, I say, good. We've got something to talk about. Whether you like it or you don't, I think it's a win, big win.
Yeah. Hey, it's an attention economy and it's generating buzz. In our economy, is that all that matters?
Also, the conversation about the value of college is the primary leading problematic conversation, and then combine that with everything else, right? But it's like, is college worth it? And when the perception of college by many people is of a Featherstone, I think that, what is it, University of Colorado Mesa?
CMU, Colorado Mesa University.
I think what I'm just going to lock that in, right? That's the point. But what CMU is doing is just putting it out there and making fun of it, and also really showing how different they truly are to this, I think, still kind of widely held conception or misconception.
Yeah.
Yianni, go ahead.
And I haven't watched the video yet, and I'm excited after this podcast to check it out. But like Tracey said, I think just from a risk standpoint, just seeing someone, shoot for the stars, try something different, it's refreshing, and the fact that everyone is talking about it, I think, is a win. And from just like glancing at the design, just as a fresh eyes on this, I'm like, this is great. It makes me want to watch it, makes me want to read it. And I think that's all you can ask for.
How many higher ed videos have we seen that just fall flat, that just show the girls under the trees, 10 seconds in, we've already clicked away, right? I would love to see the retention stats on this video. Like, I've watched it 4 times, just like today. It holds your attention until the very end.
Yeah, and it gets us talking, which is what you want. And here we are, like, what's the name of the place again? UCM, like, okay. It's brilliant.
Yeah. All right. Well, we are going to dive into our topic today, which of course is going to be centered around how Tracey and Yianni are using artificial intelligence. I think across our industry, across higher ed marketing, AI is still sparking equal parts of intrigue and anxiety, but inside their agencies, AI becomes another creative partner in the room. Tracey describes her use of AI as amplifying curiosity, compressing complexity, and accelerating clarity. So whether she's mapping brand frameworks, researching academic sources, or turning a podcast transcript into a full content ecosystem, she's treating AI like a collaborator, not a substitute for creative thought. Yianni, her colleague from Deeo, takes that philosophy into the studio, using ChatGPT and Otter to speed up research, and tools like Midjourney or Figma to create mood boards, brand worlds, and interactive prototypes. And the result is this non-linear human-led loop where AI accelerates ideas, but taste makes the final call. And we're going to come back to that point. These two have built a system where one spark can evolve from concept to prototype in hours, yet the judgment of what's worth building stays firmly human. And we're digging in today how Tracey and Yianni integrate AI across creativity, operations, and culture at their respective agencies, and what it takes to keep the work real in this algorithmic age. Now, y'all, every agency is talking about AI integration, right? Absolutely. But a lot of agencies cannot explain what that actually looks like day to day. And Tracey, I think Adeo can. You're not just using AI for output. It's actually embedded into how you're thinking and researching, designing, and delivering. And so let's start there. Like, you've said that AI helps you amplify curiosity, compress complexity, and accelerate clarity. That's a great turn of phrase, but that's also a creative framework. So walk us through what that actually looks like in practice.
Well, I think, when AI first kind of came on the scene, especially ChatGPT, I was, playing around with it and experimenting, and I was reading a lot of what Ethan Mollick was writing about from One Useful Thing. And his whole premise he kind of keeps coming back to is just play with it. The tools are changing, but everything's built on the same couple core frameworks that aren't that different, right? But all these different tools, they're changing every week. So I think that it's hard to say, like, this is a software problem and you need to have the right stack. To me, it's about learning how to use AI as a collaborator. And the best way that I could think to do that was to, get everybody on the team, get a team subscription, right? So everyone has access to it. And then we did a few training sessions on, like, just sharing. Here are some ways we're using it. When I was able to start showing the team, even just like using project folders, staying organized, but using it to make structure out of complex content, to kind of find themes that are running through things, to look for insights in a transcript, to find the things that aren't being said, but the sentiment in like a focus group transcript. There's so many uses for it when you've just got a big mess of data and information, but also asking it to give you contrarian feedback, asking it to if your job was to argue this point that I'm trying to make, how would you argue it? If you were Ogilvy, what would you think of this pitch? If you were, just constantly asking it to change its perspective on what I'm asking it to weigh in on or find holes in is just, I think that's where you got to start.
Yianni, you've built what you call this co-creation loop that's taking some of the things that Tracey just described and bringing it into your design process. Can you take us inside that loop, explain it to us, and, again, like, how does it actually work in reality?
Yeah, definitely. And I think Tracey probably has a similar loop as well. So I think there's this misconception that AI is this tool that you just simply prompt and you get a result and you're done. Like, give me this design. I want it like this. I get it. And I'm, great. I got 6 more hours to just do whatever I want. And for me, that's never been the case. So for me, this loop, it always starts with an idea, a concept, and then, I'll go into a wireframe or I'll get into design and I'll start mocking it up. And then I find the angle of AI, like, how can AI enhance or amplify this work? And this is where the loop starts. So I may work in, Figma make AI prototyping, like take my concept, let's push this farther, let's try these ideas out. Okay, those didn't work out great. I'm back to Figma design myself, tweaking things. Maybe I jump into Mid-Journey to work on some assets. And it's this like circular approach where we explore ideas. It's almost like you're working with another human, testing and bouncing ideas off of. And eventually, we get to the end result. It's one of those things too, where it's like, when do you stop? And I think it's once you feel that vision that you have in your head is executed, then you can really just put your hands down, let the client take a look and review it. But it's a really iterative process of just looping through different tools, different ideas, seeing what works, what doesn't, and eventually you get there. But it is work, and it takes time to learn these tools to do it right.
So Tracey, you're saying there's a lot of contrarian feedback that you're getting as you're interrogating your AI. And Yianni, of course, you're asking it to provide feedback within that loop. Like, at what point in your process are you like, oh my gosh, I'm just overwhelmed with more information? Like, because it feels like there is an endless amount of questioning that you could do depending on where you're at. And like the information overload might be paralyzing for some people.
It's a real thing. And I think it can swing either way. Like from Yianni's initial point, like a lot of people just think like, oh, I'll just put in the perfect prompt and I'll get the perfect output, versus the people that, and especially with the updates to ChatGPT, like it's going to, I think Perplexity too, like they're going to keep offering more, offering refinement, offering another, like they keep offering more. So you're just like the fire hose is getting more and more intense. So I think curation is a huge aspect of working successfusly with AI and giving it those guardrails. We try to be really specific with the team too. Like you can, use it to synthesize ideas, use it to poke holes in things, but ultimately like you have to stop and kind of keep your basic, what you need to execute in mind, and that needs to be brought through that lens of human, taste, curation, and feedback, right? You don't want to just take what it gives you and kind of run with it either.
And the question is, how do you decide which ideas deserve to survive, right? So I want to talk about taste. I think that it is this moment where anybody can generate anything right now, thanks to AI. Like I'm creating images every week to help promote my spin classes. I've never been able to do that before. I'm not a designer, right? But like, just because I can make it doesn't mean I should. And just because I can make it doesn't mean it's good. So we're in this world where like, these tools have become like democratized, and now taste is the differentiator, right? Did we like the Featherstone campaign or not? Like, yeah. So as a leadership principle, though, like you have to be training your team on judgment. How are we doing that?
For me, that's how we, we're hiring people that have a strategic or creative background. This isn't the first time this has happened. Like we've had big revolutions in the past that have democratized things and given people access to, when the Gutenberg press first came out, most of the stuff that started getting mass published was total crap. And it was, snake oil salespeople and trashy novels, and it wasn't anything of value. So I think that, we're flooded with lots of very surfacey, combined from all the averages of the internet to give you this output. I think there's a lot you have to do to push AI to give you things that are truly aligned with like a very unique perspective or a very strategic goal. Generally what it's going to come up with without a lot of pushing and curation is pretty sloppy, as they say.
The AI slop. Yeah, I think it always comes back to the idea, right? And the concept, because like you said, anything is possible. You can mimic and copy anything, but I think that stuff can fall flat if it doesn't come back to the base level concept of holistically, what are we trying to do here? And if you're just trying to copy some things, I think it's easy to spot, and it's going to fall pretty flat.
What is one of your favorite use cases from the past couple weeks as you've been working with a client or preparing for a presentation? Yianni, I'd love to hear a very clear example of how you've pulled some taste or you maintained that taste, I should say?
Let's see. I think I've had a recent project where we're working on designs. I'm in Figma, I'm mocking these things up. And this is a little bit less of using AI for creative output and taste, but more using AI as a collaborator in engineering and development. But for me, having AI as this, partner to explore the ideas and take them farther and not have to rely on developers. So at Deeo, we're just two people, right? We're very small, and this was by design. So having AI be this extension of us to execute visions and ideas and using prompts and motion and different interactions of, I'm not just doing a wireframe here. Like, here is the full flesh design with variables and typography and layout. Like, help me execute and see this through and what it looks like. And that recently, like, having that to present to clients and seeing their reaction means a lot. It's like no more envisioning what this could be. Like, here's how it could be. And like, now we have a great conversation to have feedback and jump back and forth on, and less about, what this could be. So I don't know if that answers your question specifically on taste, but that's just kind of one way I've been using it recently.
Yeah, I think it's really hard when you're presenting creative work to a room full of people that have varying creative skills or knowledge or, taste is subjective, right? And so, like, who are we to say that one thing is better than the other? And I think that is one of the unlocks that has been really true for me, what you just described, as somebody who, again, like, admittedly not a designer here, and I'm great at explaining things, but I can't always visualize it. And so many people are visual learners. So I think that's a great example. Tracey, do you have any?
I mean, it's kind of similar to what Yianni touched upon. I think it's the speed with which we can get to that level of, like, reacting to something instead of trying to envision it, right? There's so much of the process of our work from the past where it was like, you'd define it in a brief, you'd architect it out, you'd start to write, like, some of the headline strategy and copy, you'd look for, maybe you'd put mood boards together to, like, get a feel for what, it's just inching along at this rather glacial pace. And what I love now is whatever tool you're going into. I mean, for me recently, it was Lovable, right? And going in and having Lovable build a working prototype of, like, an interactive quiz. We were talking to a client in higher ed about doing some, like, personality quizzes or, what kind of explorer are you, whatever. And I was like, or like a manifesto, maybe doing a view book with no pictures, like some bold ideas that I wouldn't necessarily be able to sell the idea until I could give them a sense of what it would feel like. Now, granted, we're not, like, saying this is final design, but you can get a much better sense of how this might feel than us describing it to you.
Yeah. And just to add to that, we've worked with Adeo and Tracey in the past on projects where it's like that old framework of, we're going to go away for 3 to 6 months and write a creative brief and do the information architecture and all. Like, I think those days are long gone. And like you said, Mallory, client, like, looking at something and reacting to something is so much easier. And we're okay to dedicate that time now into design early, knowing that they may be like, that was a miss, but at least we got that out there and we tried it, and we can spend more time, all right, pivoting and going the other direction. But I think, getting design in front of the clients as quickly as we can is our goal. So they have something to react to and we can push that farther.
Yeah, it makes the whole thing more collaborative with clients, and it definitely speeds things up. I mean, something that would take 9 months, I think, can be done in a month now.
I mean, that's actually wild. Like, that's insane. Okay, so I have two kind of follow-on questions. As agency founders, like, how are you changing these projects? Like, literally the timelines are shrinking from 9 months to 1 month. So how are you having those conversations with your clients about timelines. And is anyone pushing back in terms of like this idea that maybe an emphasis on speed might result in a lack of depth?
Well, I think, you do want to build in the time for the conversations, for the collaboration, for the thinking that has to happen. And but the technical stuff can be executed so much faster that I don't think people are pushing back on it. And I think it's moving us more towards a value-based kind of pricing model anyway, which is good. We're not so bound to this idea that we're charging clients based on time, because time has now kind of been shifted so much by all of these efficiencies. So, we want clients to hire us for our ideas, for our taste, for our strategic thinking, and for our ability to collaborate, not for the amount of hours it's going to take us to do something and whether that's an ideal number or not. So I think it's all good.
Yeah, and same from our end. I mean, we haven't had any clients come to us with unrealistic expectations using AI to speed up their timeline. It's usually us saying to them, you think this is going to take a year and it's actually going to take 6 months. And they're like, wow, like, how is that possible? And then we talk through how we can do it. And a lot of times still too, for us, we slow it down because the clients need more time to work with us. Like, we can work just too fast. So let's slow it down. Let's add a little buffer in for them. But who knows, maybe over time as clients and EDU and everyone comes up to speed with how fast these can go, maybe they'll start setting, tighter timelines in their projects. But I haven't seen it yet.
It's interesting, right? You can ask AI a question and get a very good summary of explain the situation maybe a certain client is dealing with in the market. But it's different than going through and doing the research and meeting with the teams to discuss and synthesizing the content. Like, what that does to our own creative minds cannot be replaced by the AI. So I do think that there are some efficiencies that may be resulting in much lower quality output. And I think it's, again, understanding where the time and effort really matters versus where it was just bean pushing or bean counting always from the get-go, and we're able to just do that faster now, thank goodness, right?
So if you create this culture internally where these workflows become very fast and very efficient thanks to the technology, where is there still room for experimentation? Like, and when do you know to say, wait, pump the brakes right now, because we have to bring taste back into the conversation? And while this might have been fast and good enough, is it really? I don't know.
Well, I think anyone who's played around with AI so far knows that, the first one or two spins, you're sort of, whoa, this is amazing. And then it starts to degrade, right? Like, the quality does really start to deteriorate and starts to make mistakes or hallucinate or whatever. It starts to take things in a tangent that you didn't necessarily want it to go in, whatever might be happening. So I don't think that we're at the point where it is that dialed in yet. I think there might be certain cases where it is very specific. But in terms of creativity and strategy and strategic thinking, I don't think we're there yet. So I think it still is kind of experimentation with the tools.
Yeah, and I love this question too, because I think the experimentation part is the valuable part. And for us, I think we're finding ways to use AI to speed up the tedious work that we kind of all don't want to do. At least, for me, it's like, how can I use AI to be more efficient so that I have more time to explore and experiment and be creative? That's sort of where we're at. I don't want AI to jump into my creativity time and take all that away from me. So ways to use AI for the tedious stuff, it's like, take this color palette and give me the hex values and throw that into a table format so I can give that to the developers. Or remove this background, cut the background image, place this in a mock-up, rename the layers. Like, all those little things that are annoying to do and eat up time, like, handle that for me. And I'm going to work on the really fun, interesting, cool stuff and take that farther.
And that made me think too, it's the experimentation, right? That is the fun part of AI. Like I can be thinking of a headline, let's say, for a blog post. And I can say, here's what I'm thinking, here's the transcript. Like, do you have any other ideas for, a good title? Or give me 20 different alternative phrasings. Just its ability to generate back lots of things for you to consider. And again, taste and curation has to come into play. But that's all experimentation because you don't know what you're going to get back, but it's certainly not dialed in, and it just gives you a lot more to kind of riff off of quickly.
As I've been just listening to this conversation and also thinking about some of the recent episodes and folks I've been talking to, it just keeps all coming back for me. Like there needs to be subject matter expertise in order to utilize generative AI really well. And like existentially, I am concerned about what is going to happen. Like I've read some articles recently where recent college grads are getting let go from their jobs at a higher rate than other employees because they spent the last 2 years getting their education through ChatGPT, and the whole like learning how to think and gaining some subject matter expertise has gotten lost. Or you think about how, it is projected that X%, depending on the article you read, like a very high percentage of entry level jobs are just going to even simply vanish in certain careers and industries because AI is going to pick up all the stuff that Yianni doesn't want to do. Like, and maybe you would have hired somebody to do that previously, but now you're sending it to ChatGPT. Like, I don't know, like that there's a question here, but like, this is the stuff that like kind of keeps me up at night. Like, and that I don't know that we as like a world are ready to deal with this quite yet.
No, we're definitely not ready to. I don't know that we'd ever be ready, but but here we are. We don't get to pick, right? We don't get to decide. I think that what you said is all true, and we're seeing it happen. I think just yesterday, Amazon announced they're going to get rid of however many jobs because they're going to replace them with robots and AI. But if you think about those jobs, right, they are not jobs that require creativity. They are not jobs that require, creative thinking. I think that learning how to learn and learning how to be creative and to be kind of a lifelong learner, I think that's, again, kind of going back to where we started about higher ed and the value of it, right? I think that is where the value of it remains and will get very highlighted versus people that are going to learn how to do a specific task or, memorize certain information or do things that now, computer science, it's just like, is that even going to be a thing? As far as the entry level jobs and people kind of getting their foot in the door, I think that's going to change. And I don't know how yet, but I think that it's going to be something to be hopefully figured out by the people in that position. Right? They're gonna find a way to add value without the traditional ways of adding value being accessible to them anymore.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with all of that. I think I'm grateful that I have 15 plus years experience not using AI, knowing how to manually like work through projects and what works, what doesn't, talking to humans, like having in-person meetings and getting to, problems and solving problems. So I'm with you, Mallory. It's like, I worry about the, younger college students getting through that and learning. But like Tracey said, I think it is critical thinking, creative learning, like learning what good design is and how to solve problems, and then finding ways to have AI help you, but just don't rely on it from the start. So it's easier said than done, but yeah, we're gonna have to see how this plays out. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, AI is not going to give you, it's not the source of the creativity or the idea. And it shouldn't be because you're going to get, that's where the slop is going to come in very, very much so. But, one of the hires that I insisted on for Adeo, a very junior level, just out of school person, but I really liked the way that they thought. I really liked their thinking, the way that they were creative, combining technology, with design, with strategy. I didn't care that they had I didn't care that they didn't have certain degrees or, I wanted the thinking, not the doing.
Let's get tactical just for a moment. I know both of you are stacking a lot of different AI tools into your workflows. Let's leave ChatGPT to the side because that's the one we all know and probably use. What is another tool that like maybe you just can't live without at this point, or that you've recently found and have been really impressed by? Yianni, you want to go first?
Oh yeah, that's a good one. I'm trying to think of what's the one. I use a lot right now. Let me just list off a couple that I use, and then I'll see if I can narrow it down. So I use Midjourney a lot, and it's one of my, like, in the morning, I'll load it up, look at my For You feed. It's become kind of just an inspirational feed to check out in the morning and just, save and find images that I like. So Midjourney. There's Runway, which is another kind of image and video model that's really great. And the things you can do with video are pretty amazing. Just highly recommend people check that out. There's Kriya, which gets into the generative side of things, but it's one of those frameworks now where it's bringing in a lot of different AI tools into one tool, which is pretty valuable. So I would recommend that for anyone starting out. Try that, because then you get access to a lot of different AI tools. So generative AI, images, video, put image to 3D. And then there's another one called Flora Fauna, which is a newer one that I use a little bit and I've gotten away from, but I might come back to, that again is a conglomerate of different AI platforms. And it uses this node-based connection type where I could put this source image, connect the node to a text prompt of try this, and then connect it to another thing. And that's where I see a lot of this going, into this one platform where you can explore all your ideas in one system, versus what I'm doing now, where I'm jumping between 10 different AI programs and doing that loop that I was talking about. It'll be nicer when they get into one. So if I had to narrow it down.
You can only keep one, Yianni.
Yeah, only keep
Desert
one.
Island.
Yes.
You can only take one AI tool to your
That's
desert island.
it. You get one snack and one AI tool.
One snack.
One record, one snack, one AI tool.
I think I'd probably go with the Creo one, just because it has so many others in it. And I'm
Cool.
kind of cheating and getting the best of like every world.
We loved that. Tracey, what about you?
I am loving some of the content tools like Opus Clips and Descript and even the note-taking apps like Granola or Limitless. I use them all the time just because my own memory isn't so great anymore. So I love the note-taking and transcript app, Granola, for just getting good meeting notes and just keeping track of conversations so I can go back and refer to things. And, just to have that recall is tremendously helpful and helps efficiency a lot.
And sometimes you don't hear, right? Like we're listening, but we don't always hear everything. And like, that's for me, getting transcripts of things and being able to like really parse out, they said this, but there was other context there. And I kind of missed that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, for focus groups too, it's wonderful. I use ChatGPT a lot to keep things organized, to put, if I'm putting proposals together or working on, articles, things like that, working on the podcast, all of it heavily rely on ChatGPT. But I think Lovable, I love because of its ability to do the vibe coding or whatever. Vibe prototyping, I think, is probably better for Lovable. I mean, I use Lovable to make my painting website that's up at traceyhalvorsen.com right now, because I could just talk to it. I gave it some pictures and just talked to it and said, here's what I'm looking to do. I guess, again, it kind of goes back to the idea of, you have an idea, like I mentioned for this one higher ed, it was like doing a quiz type of idea. I can have a conversation with these tools like Lovable. I mean, I can just turn on Voice Assistant and just speak to the platform and really be talking more about the vibe than like, I need the code to be this. I need you to change, actual computer code to get what I'm after. So that's what I mean by vibe prototyping. It just gets us to something that we can react to that has a vibe. So we're not only using our own vibe language to create it, we're then able to kind of vibe off of it together with the client. I mean, I hate the word, but I love the word. So I guess that's where we are.
I know. I love it too. I use it a lot myself as well. Just Framer. I don't know if you know Framer. It's just kind of a no-code web builder. They have their vibe coding platform called Framer Workshop, which again, it's like, I have the idea for this component. I'm not a developer, but I know what I want. And if I can show it a visual and tell it, this is how I want it to interact and do, it gets you 90% there. Now, can you always put that into like production for an actual site? Probably not, depending on what the site is. But I think for getting the ideas out, it's just like the vibe and the creation is amazing. So it's exciting.
All right. So I like to typically end these episodes by kind of zooming back out for a minute, right? And so let's talk about what the real strategic opportunity is here for institutions, right? We've been talking about how you are all using AI within your agencies, but if you were advising one of your CMO clients and they were asking you about some things that they could do to start moving the needle a little faster in terms of their own or their team's adoption of AI tools, what is the strategic opportunity at play and what would your advice be to them? Tracey?
I mean, I think there's a ton of strategic opportunities at play, but one of the immediate ones that comes to mind is you can empower your student ambassadors to become better content creators with using these tools to avoid the things that typically people get hung up on, like there's typos in their posts, or it doesn't look professionally, it doesn't have the nice whatever parts of it. I feel like you can use AI to add a level of polish that the institution needs to have and see, but also release the reins a little bit around this these guardrails, because you need to get students out creating content and sharing more openly. And I think that this is a great, perfect time to do it. It's needed.
And we just talked about this on your podcast, Tracey, but one of those places you should be sending your students is to Reddit, because we know about the loop. We know that it is feeding right back into ChatGPT as a primary source. And so as our prospective students, no matter their age, 16 and Featherstone University ready, or, 60 and going back to pick up some extra credits, like, they are going to AI increasingly to start their search for where they should go and study. And we know Reddit is driving a lot of those responses.
And YouTube, right? And even if they're going to Google, they're getting AI, they're getting answers. They're not getting sent to your website. They will eventually show up at your website, but they're pulling that content not from your website in most cases. They are looking at these other places, and my goodness, it's just like it's an obvious opportunity that hopefully more schools will take advantage of.
Yeah. If I was running a student ambassador team right now, I would have created a number of custom GPTs. I would have given it to the teams that, the different students, and they would be creating all their content through those custom GPTs for sure.
Yeah, that would be smart.
Yeah.
And I mean, my idea is similar to both of yours. I just feel like EDU institutions in general have just been kind of trapped in this old school model of everything under the one, everything under the one brand umbrella and voice, and the social channels follow the website. And I think that really just limits the brand extension for a university. And like we're all talking, I think the Instagram needs to feel different than their TikTok, which needs to feel different than their YouTube, which needs to feel different than their website. And I think AI can help amplify all those channels to get the real brand across, even like department sites and department pages. It's always been pull them in and lock them down, where I don't know if that's really the right answer. I think it could be opened up. And yeah, that's something my partner Monica and I talk about a lot for these EDU projects.
Yeah, I think the times are changing, right? There was a time, I'd say 15 years ago, when the web was still kind of new. 20 years ago, right, where that consistency in brand, and there weren't all these different digital channels, that consistency mattered because it established trust when you were in a very unstable environment. But this is now mainstream. It's expected. It's, we've got a whole generation growing up that's used to all the different channels and the different perspectives, and they want the authenticity. So I think that we have to let go of that outdated way of thinking.
Yeah. And to Yianni's point, the capacity that AI gives us to go and do that differentiation, right? I have listeners who I know are sitting here right now listening to this, and they are like, I am a team of 1.5 on the good day. Like, how the heck do I have time to go differentiate every single channel when it's just me? There you go. AI expands the capacity. Yeah.
But you still need humans in the mix too.
Precisely. Amen to that. It comes back to taste at the end of the day.
Thank goodness we're still relevant.
They go for at least another few months. I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll catch up next year. Ask us again.
Yeah. Mallory did. She didn't even give us a year. She said a couple months.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm being optimistic. No,
yeah.
Well, guys, this was great. I really appreciate both of your time today. Do a little plug for your agencies before we drop off, and where can folks find you? Yianni?
Yeah. First, thanks for having me. Love that. I could talk about this stuff forever. So Deeo Studio, DEEO.studio is our website. We do, brand, web, motion, AI, all the good stuff. So check us out there. And then, most of our social channels are linked on there. So
yeah. And you can find me at helloadeo.com. It's HELLO Adeo, ADEO.com. Or look me up on LinkedIn. I'm always up for good conversations. And we are, as an agency, always interested in working with emerging and disrupted markets on brand, digital, and marketing. So the bigger the problem, the more we like it, sickly enough.
And after you have listened to and subscribed to this podcast, you should run right over to Escape Velocity, Tracey's podcast. It is excellent. So everyone should go listen and subscribe to that too. And hey, if you are listening to this episode literally on the day it drops, we are in National Harbor, y'all. Tracey and I are walking around the halls.
That's right.
So come find us. If you are at AMA, we would love to see you and meet you in real life. Yianni, are you here too?
I won't be there, but my partner Monica will be there.
Amazing.
So look for Monica.
Look for Monica, guys. We don't want to just be voices in the earbuds. We would love to see you put some faces to names. We're walking around the halls, and so it's great. All right, y'all. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. This was great.
Bye-bye. Thanks for listening to the Higher Ed Pulse. The show is a proud member of the Enrollify Network, home to Higher Ed's largest collection of podcasts. Enrollify is where higher ed goes to grow. So be sure to check out our other podcasts, webinars, video clips, blogs, and more. Visit enrollify.org and subscribe for all the latest details and content drops directly to your inbox. Enrollify is brought to you by Element 451, the digital workforce platform for higher ed. Learn more at element451.com.